So you realize in this conversation, when we talk about a comparison, I mean, it's as simple as looking at another person, and it doesn't matter whether they are more productive, more successful, or more beautiful, or whatever. It doesn't matter, because even when this person is on the same level with you, you will always find yourself comparing and thinking they're doing something better. And one of the things that I actually thought about for me was social media and how it has been hyped up. And because back then, you would literally see the people around you, and those people would be few, because then you would see so-and-so driving out of the village, you know, to go to work. You'd see so-and-so has built a good house. You see so-and-so is taking their children to an expensive school. You'd see, so there, we would only see the things within our vicinity. But my, oh my, the world has been opened up, and it's a global village right now. And you can clearly see, and we compare ourselves with people that we have no business comparing ourselves with. Just look at this. You're comparing yourself with someone who is living in the US, and it's not because that anyone that is living in the US is much better than you, but they're in a different country, different standards of living, different wage, you know, they even have a minimum wage and all that. You are here starting your brand, starting your career, you know, you're giving it your best. Instead of saying, you know what, I'm in my lane, I am running at my own speed, and I am going to look at others as a way of inspiration. How are they, you know, how are they keeping collected? How do they look good? Okay, how do they choose their clothes? How do they, you know, people can drive this car, I will drive this car one day. You know, that is a different thing. But social media has made it so hard for us to stay settled in our lanes. Half the time we want to skip lanes into other people's lanes, or we want to peep at what others are busy doing. And now it's not just peeping, we have it in the palms of our hands. So that means if you really want to jump out of the comparison game, you should be able to control how you use social media. And mark my words, how you use. Do not be used by social media. I know so many people that have been used by social media, that they want to buy the things that they see others having, that they want to build the kinds of houses others are building, that they have, to the extent I know a person who borrows money to pay for an apartment so that they can say, I stay in an apartment. Borrows money to plait hair so that they can have the latest trends of hair. And so one time this person came to me and asked me, but I know that if you really wanted to have these things, you would have these things, that you would have the most trending hair, and you would have the, and I told them that, you know what, I don't even have the time. It's not that I don't want, maybe I would have wanted that kind of hair, but I even don't have the time to sit in a salon every day to make sure that I change my hair every day. The best I can do is once in 2 months or once in a month. And someone was asking me, and your nails, it's not like I see you with a nail appointment every other time. And I was like, you know what, I have one person that does my nails in this town, and they know better, because I tell them that I don't have time to come to salon for nails, so I will come once a month, or I will come once in 2 months. So whatever we do has to be able to fit in that, because not because I don't have the money, but I just don't have the time. So you realize that if you're busy minding your business, there are certain things you're not going to even have time for. I mean, if I don't have to, I've taken time and just cut my nails and just keep them short, because I mean, I don't have the time. When I get the time, I will go. Okay? So you realize that you're not playing a catch-up game every time. Please do not. I am in a peaceful position, in a peaceful posture to think and dream how I can help more people, how I can bring more transformation to the people, how I can even bring it closer. Why? Because I'm not looking at anyone. And I think I've said it so many times, I even limit the people that I see on social media. I limit the people that I follow. I follow you because of a particular reason. You have to be someone that is impacting my life, and one that is transforming my life, that whenever I read, whenever I see you, whenever I read your posts, and it has to be something that brings value to me. But I'm not going to follow everyone in this town or in this country, or everyone that someone calls someone. Actually, most of the prominent people I don't follow. And they could be prominent people in your industries, in other industries. I also have people that I don't deem as, the world does not deem as prominent per se, but again, they are the ones that impact my lives. So those ones will fill my feeds, and I will have no problem with that, because every time I stumble on their content, it fills my heart. It fulfills me. So I want you to be able to limit. You don't have to follow everyone, and you don't have to send friend requests to everyone, and you don't have to agree to everyone's friend request, and you're not supposed, if you see that there's a certain type of content that spikes your anxiety and your comparison, make sure that you do away with it. It's your phone, control it, okay? So I need you to be able to watch out when it comes to social media, because it can be a cause of huge comparison, and then it will just put you down in so many ways, okay? And then I want you to be in the habit of encouraging another person. From the time I started being an encourager, and I got to know my calling, and that is like 15 years ago, 15 years ago. I've grown so much in this journey that my main aim is to see another life better, is to see another person smile, is to see another person make a better decision, is to see another thriving marriage, is to see another thriving relationship. As in, I am hyper vigilant and hyper focused on that everything else will die in comparison to what my main aim is. So the moment you start that transformation, and I usually tell the people that are in my mentorship, in the mentorship academy, that let me tell you, so many things are going to dim out because you have highlighted who you really want to be and what you want to do. And most of the people help us, they have clusters of people that they want to encourage. Some are focused on single ladies, some are focused on single mothers, some are focused on children, some are focused on husbands. So you realize that where your focus is, your energy goes. And if you don't have a center of focus, you are going to rotate around, you're going to stare around, and then you'll start comparing yourself to everyone. But the moment you are super focused somewhere, your energy will go there. How can you research? How can you read? How can you be better yourself? How can you go through the healing so that you can minister healing to others? How can you, as in, you will compare notes with others, you will ask them questions, you will give of yourself. The moment you start being a giver of yourself, so many of us, we have limited ourselves. We are all people helpers. We are all people helpers, and we are called for something that is greater than us, okay? Now, the day you will discover your purpose, the day you will discover your purpose, and we are all uniquely designed and fashioned, and God in his wisdom saw to it that we all get different callings. What I like is not necessarily that you will like, okay? So don't be super glued onto what my likes are, and you forget about your own calling. For example, in a church, I'll give an example because church is my main area of operation. When you see one is called to be a pastor, another is called to be an apostle, another is called to be a deacon, another is called to be an elder, another is called to be an usher, okay, and another as a praiser and worshiper. Like we all have, but we all need these gifts to work together in order to have a good, beautiful, fruitful church. So even the world, there are some of us that are natural healers, okay? There are some of us that are natural encouragers. There are some of us that are just geared towards charity. There is a person, a lady that signed up for the mentorship, how to make sure that you speak with purpose and all those things. And so while we talked about all these things, yes, she discovered that she really likes operating in business and being able to tell people about business and how to grow themselves and all that. But she told me the truth that, you know what, I am not looking to charging people. If anything, because I've been a business person for the longest time and I envision a longer life even in business, I would love to help as much as possible. As in, my calling is more towards charity, that I want to run out or to lend a hand to people that don't have help. And I would want to do that financially. I would want to be there in person. I would want to pursue that angle. And I'm like, you know what, God strategically positioned us differently and called us to do different things. So I cannot be here, and I usually tell most of the people in my community that do not look at me and say, oh, now she has made it, or she has, no. I also admire, there is one is still in the mentorship, who is an emotional healer. And let me tell you, when she begins to speak, when she's called Mole Nalunga, when she begins to speak, you literally want to listen. You really literally want to give in your all. You literally feel like every word that is coming out of her mouth is a healer. But, I mean, she majored in that. She has found herself. And so she's not going to be everywhere saying randomly, I'm a motivational speaker or I'm a life coach. No, she says, I am an emotional healing coach. And full stop. That is what I do. So the moment you start encouraging others and helping others, you will stop comparing, because you cannot be a people helper if you are not strong. You have to be fortified and strong so that you can lend a hand to other people that are down to be able to help them up. So that is I'm cheating for you so you can be able to help yourself, okay? And when it comes to the other idea, how I was able to actually pull myself out, I realized that I was looking and categorically positioning people, other people, as the main characters in my own story and in my own life, okay? Like I saw people had vivid roles. They were somewhere doing something, not knowing that I am the best or I am the main character in my own story. Like no one is going to be Hilda. No one is going to be me. No one is going to have my dreams. No one is going to live my future. No one is going to fit in perfectly into the positions where I am. No one is going to mother my children. No one is going to be a wife to my husband. No one is going to be, as in, no one is going to be these things. I am these things because I am the main character in this movie of mine. Now, some of us give the main character positions to other people because we are comparing ourselves. So you look at another and you're like, maybe she's the best wife. I wish I could be. And actually comparing ourselves, we usually don't say, I wish I could be like them, because then that means there's something you want to pick from them. But she's better than me. That means I'm really bad. I am really lacking. I don't know. I don't think I can even get that much wisdom. I don't think I can be that. Some of us have even deemed ourselves less than okay mothers to our children. And so you start to self-loathe, and you start, before you know it, you're not doing what you are supposed to do. So I want you to know that you belong, okay? That you have a position, and that position is for you to be a main character in this movie. Everything else that is around you has actually been put there as a supporting character to you. Okay, so the moment you take back the power and you're like, you know what, I am the main character, so I need to work as hard as I can. I need to up my productivity. I need to up my results. That is where you will bring in the issue of being able to turn your comparison into inspirations, because that is one way of growing out of it, okay? And I know the time that I used to compare so much, when I made that switch and understood where my comparison was coming from and how it was affecting me, I remember looking at the same people but reframing them differently. The same people that I would compare myself to are the same people that I went back to and did an audit on them and said, okay, what do they have that I don't have? What do they have? So in my speaking, in my speaking career, I would look at someone speak and they would make so much sense to me, and so I would ask myself, what are they doing that I am not doing? And so I would understand that, you know what, they're breaking down these points. They are authentic in themselves. They are not posing to be anyone else. Like me or don't like me, this is who you get. And so, like, I looked at them and I was like, okay, then I need to be able to incorporate some of these things. Maybe worked for them, might not work for me, but some specific acts and things that I can be able to incorporate, I am going to incorporate. So I get inspired by what they are doing. And sometimes I would ask myself, what are they doing differently? And then I would realize they are being consistent. And I would be like, you know what, then I need to be consistent. I need to show up from January to December. I need to show up. I can't give myself a break. Because when you start comparing yourself, then you switch your attention to who you are comparing yourself to. And then you cease to see what you're doing, or you cease to grow it, or you cease to show up consistently. How many of you have mindlessly gone and scrolled on social media year, and you've not gotten time to even post yourself. You want to build your brand, you want to do all these things, but again, you are mindlessly scrolling for hours, and then you get to evening, you are tired, you are exhausted, you ask yourself, what did I do? And clearly there is nothing that you did, but you've been comparing yourself, how this one's kitchen looks like, how the other one speaks, how the other one is putting themselves out there, their brand colors, their everything. You realize that you are playing catch up, you're second guessing yourself, and you are going lower and lower and lower. It can even get you into a depression. But the moment you ask yourself, what are they doing that I am not doing? You realize that everyone has fears, but they are choosing to show up. They're choosing to commit. They committed to this, okay? And then they're choosing, you would understand that, by the way, not everyone feels ready, but by the time they're showing up every day, that means they just chose to show up anyway, even when they don't feel ready. So I also would start and say, you know what, I don't need to feel ready in order to show up, you know? And at some point, you know, after even going through the giving birth and what, and you know, I'm coming back, I want to re-engage, and I feel like I've put on a lot of weight, and then I'll be like, you know what, I would look at other people and they're actually doing so well, and they're way bigger than me, and then I'll be like, you know what am I not doing? I'll be like, let me take this as inspiration, and then I'll be like, they are showing up even when they're not the size that they would have wanted to be, but they are continuously showing up, and they're continuously, you know, doing the job. And then I'll be like, you know what, I'm jumping right back in. So you realize that you can be able to tweak and turn that comparison into something that is very positive, and into something that is inspiring, and something that pushes you to be even way a better person than you have ever been. So you see that the switch from comparing yourself to being yourself and appreciating yourself and running your race is something that does not take too much to edit. You just have to be very intentional, and you have to commit yourself to doing the work, okay? Because comparison is also a thief. It's a thief of time. What it steals from you is the time, because then you stand still. In order for you, let's give an example. You're running a race, okay? But again, you have to be able to, you want to peep at another person. You can't keep running. You can't do two things at the same time, because then you're multitasking, but it's not even multitasking. You're giving yourself too much work for no good reason. Some of us are not multitasking, but we are carrying things that we are not supposed to carry. So instead of you facing, while you're running, facing in the direction where you are going, you are busy looking at another person. While you're looking at them, you are thinking about what they are doing. You are envying them, and you're being jealousy on them. But so your mind is engaged in what other people are doing, is not engaged in where you are going. So you realize that your speed is being cut. You realize that you're going off track, because you can't be looking this side and running that side. So that means that your ambition is down, your acceleration is down, and you can't run blind. That means you're going to bump into things, you're going to knock things, or you're going to knock people, or you're going to cross into a lane that is not yours. So you realize that comparison, you can't compare while you are minding your business. So you must choose one thing. And comparison, just like I said, is a preserving mechanism for your ego. And I will tell you this, newsflash, if you didn't know, that growth and preservation cannot appear in the same same statement. No. Growth must kick out, as in growth must kick away the self-preservation. You must let yourself loose and go and say, you know what, I'm going to run as fast as I can. I have locked in the direction. I am giving it my whole. I am committing. I'm consistent. I am showing up. Because your ego wants to protect itself, then you start, that is no funentondo, you know, okukontola. You know, and then you're like, those ones have money. Maybe they grew up in a family that have money. Maybe they are better off. Let me tell you, some of us that you look at and you think that we have had a better life. That is why when people hear of my story, they're like, what? No, 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 no. I've always looked at you and thought about there's something different. No, God has repaired us. God has, made us look. God has brought us to a place of focus. He has brought us to a place of, a place of self-loving and a place of trusting Him, okay? And a place of doing good things for us, a place of success. But if you look at our story, we are totally two different people. Our story is different and where we are headed is different. But why we had to be very intentional. I had to be very intentional to be the person that I am today, and then to be the person that I'm still growing to be, because I'm in this journey and I'm not giving up on anything. Even at 80 years old, you will see me on a microphone, on a camera, trying to inspire, trying to transform lives, and trying to grow with the community. Why? Because there is a deep desire inside of me, not to compare myself to anyone, but to run my own race, okay? So drink your water, mind your business, lock in your direction, run as fast as you can. But you can't run as fast as you can while you are looking at other people. The other thing that I'm just thinking about is the issue of vision. I think we've talked about vision so many times, and if you've missed that talk, go back to my Instagram, Bahati Hilda Sabiti, and make sure that you check it out. But I talk about vision quite often, and in this case, when you have a vision, it's very easy, or it gives you a target. For example, if you're a soccer player and you're trying to dribble the ball and you're taking it to the goal, of course you have a team around you, and you have the you have the midfielders, you have the strikers, you have the wingmen, you're trying to take the ball to the goal, and the goal is your vision. That means you, as in all your eyes are in that direction. Who is positioned where? Where can I pass the ball? Why? Definitely you're being calculative, but you're dribbling the ball, that even when you make a zigzag, you can see someone in the midfield giving it to one of the defenders so that they can be able to take it to the wing, because that is where the route is, the clear route is. But they are all dribbling and they're all headed in the same direction. So even when it comes to comparison, the moment you stand and you start looking at other players and you're like, ooh, look at that one, he has, muscle, oh, he's taller than me. That is when you start comparing yourselves. You remember the children of Israel when they were sent to go and spy the land, and they came back. What report did they bring? They brought the report of, those guys are tall, not even 6 feet. Did they mention 6 feet? They are tall, and they have 6 feet and fingers, and oh my God, why? Do you know what they said? That they looked like grasshoppers, and those guys were giants. And remember that was the promised land, flowing with milk and honey. Like, clearly God has promised. I'm taking you from, this is an exodus. I'm taking you from captivity, and I am taking you to a promised land. And a group goes and brings back the news. And if you remember, I think it's Joshua who asked, what report will you believe? Are you going to believe the report of God? Because God's report says that is the land. You own that land. It flows with milk and honey, and that is where your descendants are going to be. Or you are going to be timid because of the report of people and say, you know what, let's just stay in this desert. I don't think we have any promised land to cross to. I think God made a mistake, because if He indeed promised that land to us, He would have driven all those giants out of that land, so that we take the land without any kind of fight. We just arrive. Let me tell you, God never promised you, or will never promise you, anything that you don't have to fight into. And I need you to get that in your mind, that some of these things we take by force, some of these things we fight into, some of these things we commit into, some of these things we show up with consistency in order to take the promised land. But again, if you're seated on yourself and you're thinking, I look like a grasshopper in front of that giant, the other one is the winner and I am the loser, the other one is the successful one and I'm the one who is poor, the other one is this and this, you are standing, my friend. You are not running. And if in case you think you're making any movement, then you're not even crawling. Why? Because your mind is filled with comparison, is filled with envy, is filled with jealous, is filled with, a wrath, it's filled with anger, and you're also filled with doubt, doubting God's word, doubting God's promises for your own life. Just imagine, I think this is a tool that the enemy uses. If the enemy is after you, he will come after you in so many ways. And one of the ways that the enemy comes after you or against you is through opening the door of comparison, so that you will endlessly compare yourself to others, so you will not be able to grow to the magnitude that God wants you to grow, so that you will not be able to leave your mark in the world, so that you will not be able to pass on a legacy, so that you will stop being significant, and that you will stop running towards your vision. So have a vision and run towards it. The moment you have a vision, you will look in the direction and you will run, and comparison will never be anywhere around you. Why? Because you are locked in, your mind is towards building that vision and making it a reality and turning it. So if you need to pray, you will pray. If you need to consult, you will consult. If you need to work hard, you will work hard. If you need to work smart, you will work smart. If you need to sacrifice and compromise, whatever you will need to do, you are in the moment of building, and there's activity happening around you. But an idle mind is the devil's workshop, and an idle mind is a field ripe for comparison and tearing yourself down, pulling yourself down until you are totally nothing. So I wish us a prosperous journey, but we just have to learn the art of creating the confidence and the self-esteem, and to kill the comparison, because if we do not kill it, then it's going to kill us. Kill our visions, kill the people around us, and kill everything that we envision to be and that we want in our lives. Okay, so I love you. Let me know what you think in the comments. And in case you need help, sign up for the mentorship. Let's get into the deep dive of your vision and your purpose and how to earn from that. But more than anything, how to transform lives and how to encourage others and hold other people's hands. From me to you is, I love you.